with squat recs. So now we're going to talk about some exercises you can do for your core, meaning your abs and your lower back. A couple ab exercises that you can do off of lat pull down machine are ab pull downs. I demonstrated this in a previous squat recs. You'll set yourself up in front of a lat pull down machine. You'll turn away from the lat pull down machine. You'll center yourself under the machine. You'll pull the weight to the back of your head. Contract the abs. Make sure that you're solid. You're going to flex at the hips and bring the weight down. Flex and come back down. You want to make sure that your abs are as tight as possible. Other exercises you can do off of a lat pull down or some kind of pulley system, a low pulley will work as well, are rotational exercises. You don't really have to have special equipment to do rotational exercises like this. If you had bands, you could set up something off of a post or a squat rack. What I've done here is I created what is essentially something like a cut-off bat attachment to put on the lat pull-down machine. What I did was I cut some PVC, I drilled a hole in the PVC, and then I put some climbing rope through it. I'll attach this to the lat pull-down and do some rotational exercises. With this exercise, you'll probably want to keep your shoulders in tight. If you allow your arms to be too far away from your body, it's going to be really hard to generate any kind of rotation. So you'll grab here, you'll face away slightly away from the machine, and then you pull and rotate, pull and rotate. The ab wheel is an exercise that's regained popular in recent years. It's a great piece of equipment. It's been around for at least 30 years. I remember when I was a kid playing with it in my grandma's house. I used it like a car, but it's a great ab exercise that will put your abs in an isometric contraction. Basically what you'll do for this exercise is you will start with the wheel in front of you, and you will allow it to drift in front of you, and then unfold at the hips, and then come back. A souped up version of the ab wheel is the power wheel. I bought this from powersystems.com. That's power-systems.com. It's kind of a fun tool. Basically, it's an ab wheel that you can attach to your feet to do different ab exercises. The primary exercise that you'll do with the power wheel is the pike up. You can set yourself up on the floor. If you have push-up bars, that might make things a little bit more comfortable on your wrist, but you certainly don't need those. You'll get in a push-up position on the floor with your leg behind you in the power wheel, and from here you're going to pike up. Now your range of motion is going to be somewhat limited by how flexible your hamstrings and hips are, but it's an excellent ab exercise. Give it a shot if you have a chance. Another great exercise for the core that isn't a core isolation exercise per se is the Renegade Row. You can do these with a pair of kettlebells, or if you have hex dumbbells, you can do them with those as well. Again, you're going to set yourself up in a push-up position, and then you're going to do a sequence of one-arm rows. It's really important with this exercise that you are shifting your weight to the arm that is holding you in position. If you don't, you will fall on your face on this exercise. You'll probably want to start fairly light with this exercise, but if you go too light with hex dumbbells, unfortunately the dumbbell might be kind of small and not give you a whole lot of support. So judge it carefully and be safe. Well, I'll set myself up here. I'm going to spread my feet out a little bit, and from this position I'm going to move a little bit to my left, and then I'm going to one-arm row with my right. Move over to my right, pull with my left. Now there is a tendency for your hips to come up on this exercise. Try to avoid that. Move to my right, pull in. Renegade rows. The last ab exercise I'm going to demonstrate for you is the hanging leg lift. It's an excellent exercise, very similar to a pike up. If you don't have a power wheel, this is your exercise of choice. You're going to find a chinning bar and you're going to hang there. From this position, you're going to flex the abs and you're going to bring your legs straight up and then come back down. You want to control your body sway throughout this exercise, and you'll find that controlling that body sway is going to require even more ab strength. Bring the legs up and down. If you're very strong and very flexible, you might even be able to bring your legs to your face. Hanging leg raises. One of the greatest exercises for the glutes, the hamstrings, and the lower back is the good morning. You have to make sure that you're doing the good morning correctly. If you do it poorly, you could create a lot of flexion in your lower back, putting you at risk of injury. I'm going to show you two variations of the good morning. The first one will be standing, and you'll notice that I maintain a really tight arch in my lower back throughout the movement. I'll set myself up as if I were to squat, exactly the same way. I tend to carry a low bar position with the good morning. You can go high bar position, but it's going to limit your range of motion because the bar is probably going to roll forward on you. I take a position similar to how I would squat. I'm going to bend at the knees slightly, and I'm going to push the hips back as I break at the hips. I'm going to make sure that I keep my core as tight as I possibly can as I descend. A couple things with the good morning. You want to make sure you don't roll up on your toes. That's a no-no. Also, like I said, keeping that lower back as straight as possible, maintaining that arch, is very critical to form with this exercise. A variation of the good morning are seated good mornings. With seated good mornings, you're going to set yourself up in a box or a step in a position about parallel. You'll squat down in the box. You'll sit on the box, maintaining tightness, and then from here, you're going to fold over at the waist. Now, your lower back, you should try to maintain as tight a position as possible. You're going to stay as tight as possible here. You're going to fold at the hip. Now, if you go too far forward, again, that's going to cause flexion of the lower back. That's something you don't want. So be very careful with this exercise. I would like to add that a lot of people will do good mornings and other lower back exercises with back flexion. It will put you in a weaker position mechanically, so be very careful if you choose to do that. Some people will advocate rounded back lifting as a form of training to condition your back to work in a position of less favorable leverage. I can't really tell you which one is going to work the best for you. All I can say is that if you decide to incorporate that into your training, be extra careful. A few more points to add. When you're doing good mornings, make sure that you keep your glutes tight throughout that exercise. What you'll often see are people, when they squat, deadlift, do good mornings, you'll often find that they aren't really activating the glutes as much as they could throughout the movement. What this has a potential to do is throw extra stress on your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are strong enough to take it, great. But the glutes are a really strong muscle. You should be taking advantage of that. And you don't want to be putting undue stress on your hamstrings either. A note about ab exercises. A lot of times people will say to you, well, why not do crunches? Because crunches isolate the abs without using the hip flexors. I don't know what the current literature says about ab exercises, but generally speaking in athletics, a lot of the contractions that you see, a lot of the applications, sport applications that you see using abdominals are going to be isometric contractions that are preventing the athlete from being twisted or pulled around. Also, most athletes, when they contract the abs in whatever sport that they're doing, they'll also be engaging the hip flexors. That's just something to keep in mind when you're choosing ab exercises.